Kia ora tātou, welcome back. In this video we'll be explaining what the words genotype and phenotype mean. So remember in the last video we looked at two chromosomes. These two chromosomes were homologous chromosomes. And so what was meant by homologous chromosomes is that both of these chromosomes have the same genes on them. So at each particular point on the chromosome there are the same genes. So there could be height down the bottom, there could be hair colour there, and we were looking at this area of each chromosome, which we said was the gene for eye colour. And so so the gene was eye colour, and each of these two chromosomes had a particular allele. So the allele was the variation of the gene. So we were looking at this chromosome, which we said had the allele for brown eyes, and this chromosome which we said had the allele for blue eyes. So this is what is called the genotype. The genotype is the combination of alleles that an individual has. So if we were to, we often simplify the alleles that something codes for by using one letter. And this will be described in whatever question you get given in an exam. So we could say that the brown eyes allele is a capital B, and the blue eyes allele could be a lowercase b. So this individual happens to have a capital B and a lowercase b. That is their genotype. So their genotype is big B, little b. So that big B, little b represents what is actually going on in the chromosomes, and that is that they have a brown-eyed allele and a blue-eyed allele. A little bit windy outside. The next word that we were going to introduce was phenotype. And an indication here, so we can look at genotype and we can think gene, that relates to genes. So that's one way of remembering what genotype means. Phenotype, if you think of the pH in there, that is referring to physical, so the physical characteristics of an individual. So this individual that's got a brown-eyed allele and a blue-eyed allele, and we'll go into why this happens in subsequent videos, but the phenotype or the physical trait of this individual isn't going to be a combination of brown and blue. Don't ask me what that would be. I guess just a lighter color of brown maybe. It's just going to take one of these alleles as the main color of the eye. So in this case we would get brown eyes, even though there's a blue-eyed allele there, where the individual is just going to have brown eyes. Running out of room. And that is the definitions of genotype and phenotype. So to give it a little bit more relevance, if we had another individual that instead of having a brown-eyed allele there and a blue-eyed allele there, if they instead had two blue eyes alleles, so let's change that. So we've got two blue-eyed alleles. We'll have to get rid of this as well, make that a lowercase b. Our genotype now is going to be little b, because the combination of alleles that individual now has is two blue-eyed alleles. And the phenotype, what is showing up, and we'll work out why this is later on, is not going to be brown eyes anymore, because their DNA doesn't have the code to be able to make brown eyes. Their phenotype is going to be blue eyes. So when we look at the individual, what we will actually see is blue eyes. So thanks very much for watching. In the next video we will look at homozygous, heterozygous, dominant and recessive.